Hey there, Tilray fam. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. It's Wednesday, January 10th. Happy midweek. And in this video, we're going to be discussing Tilray Brands' recent Q2 2024 earnings. We're going to do a follow-up to that. I do think it's an overreaction. A lot of people were asking me to do another video, a little bit of a shorter one. I did the live stream yesterday of the earnings conference call. And then towards the end of that video, I did do some comments. So I responded to some comments in the live chat and I gave my thoughts and opinions, but it ran a little long. I think it was over 2 hours. So people probably didn't know or watch it. So I wanted to do a shorter video. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff, and you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. Also, make sure to give us a follow over on X, which is formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. So as I mentioned, I did a video yesterday, Tilray Brands Q2 2024 earnings conference call live. It was just over 2 hours long. So like I said, I think a lot of people didn't realize that I did a review at the end of it. And then through that video, I think maybe 75% of that video was the earnings call. And then there was a ton of questions as well. So we'll go over a summary of their earnings and my thoughts and opinions, and then we'll take a look at the chart as well. But I do think it's been an overreaction that we've seen, and the earnings weren't that bad. They did have a margin drop off with regards to their MJ sales. Most of their record revenue for the quarter came from beverage sales. But all in all, I don't think there was anything really that bad in the report. I don't think there was any reason for the stock to sell off this bad other than the fact that we're just seeing an overreaction. And the fact that we had this as well. Canopy Growth announced a US $30 million private placement. That was pretty much around the exact same time as the earnings came out, right before the conference call. So I think that kind of spooked investors. It kind of took attention away from the sector and put another bad taste in people's mouth, right? Which we already know people's mouths are pretty disgusted at this point. So, in terms of price action, I do think it was an overreaction. I don't think the report was that bad. Coupled with that Canopy Growth news, maybe investors in Tilray were, a lot of people were probably selling Canopy Growth. Well, I know for a fact that they were, as I talked to a ton of people who said that they were, and we could see that Tilray Brands chart was going up relative to Canopy Growth. So a lot of those Canopy Growth investors, once we had the reverse split news, were probably migrating over to Tilray, right? Selling those shares, at least some of them, and buying Tilray. And then when they seen this news yesterday with regards to Canopy Growth, I think a lot of Tilray investors got spooked as well and said, oh, well, we're not profitable yet either. Maybe we could potentially see another dilution, a dilutionary event for Tilray, right? So maybe that spooked investors as well. Who knows? It's hard to say what this overreaction is from. Maybe it's just bears continuing to feast and the shorts continuing to see gains after a monster move, right? There's been tons of volatility, and it's just been a short trader's paradise, really a day trader's paradise. But short traders have been making a killing over the last few years in this brutal bear market. But they did have record Q2 net revenue of $194 million, increased 34% over the prior year period. We know that they had Anheuser-Busch brands that they acquired, those 8 beverage brands, and then they had a full quarter of Hexo as well. They have Trust Beverage Co. So they had a lot more on their books this time around, right? And it's only going to get bigger, in my opinion, over the next quarter. The next few quarters, we should continue to see a ramp up. And I think as they focus more on the Redican strains as well, those more craft oriented strains like the King Sherb and the Animal Runs, I think we're really going to see what this juggernaut is made of. So they continued with leadership of the number one leadership market share in Canada and 31% growth in the Canadian MJ net revenue. Medical MJ leader in Europe with 55% growth in international MJ net revenue. They also said the 5th largest craft beer brewer in the US, which I think is very underrated. A lot of people are saying, oh, they're into, alcohol, and they're not even really focusing. Most of the revenue isn't coming from MJ. Well, it's not just alcohol, right? They're not just selling any kind of alcohol. They're selling spirits. They're selling craft beer, which I think is very underrated as well. I think just like he mentioned, Erwin Simon in the conference call, that he believes that craft beer is going to make a big comeback, and they got a big plan to revive that and to make it even better. So I think that's very, very true. Whenever I go to the alcohol store or if I buy any kind of alcohol, it's always usually, I would say like 99% of the time I buy beer, and I would say at least 90%, if not more, I'm always buying craft beer. So, and like I said, they seem to have it figured out, and they're going after brands that align well with their company's vision, and also that can be integrated later on with the MJ component. Think the Sweetwater Brewing Co. 420 Ale, right? They're also on track to achieve 30 to 35 million in annual savings related to the integration of Hexo acquisition, and they give financial guidance for fiscal year 2024. So in terms of the conference call, they kind of just go over the same mumbo jumbo. They go over the same highlights and whatnot. But one thing that they did mention was that they said that they may potentially look to buy a medical company in the U.S. if federal laws permit that. So that's something that they mentioned. Other than that, I did go over, like I said, in that video towards the end. If you want to just skip ahead to the end of that, after the question and answer period in the call, I go over some updates with regards to some of the comments that we had in the live chat, and then some of my thoughts and opinions on the entire call. I don't want to go through everything, just to keep this video as short as possible, because I do want to go over the chart here and the price action and what to expect in the days, weeks, months ahead. Obviously, this is not financial advice, though. This is for entertainment and informational purposes only. You should never ever buy anything based on anything that I say or anything that I write. So as I mentioned, we saw great growth there from their beverage portfolio in the alcohol segment. They talk about adjusted net loss of 2.7 million in the second quarter, adjusted loss per share of $0, and then adjusted EBITDA. So they actually had, for the quarter, I was adjusted net loss, but net loss decreased to 46 million in the second quarter compared to a net loss of 62 million in the prior year quarter. So that net loss per share narrowed to 0.07. So that was adjusted net loss that I mentioned before. But the actual net loss decreased to 46 million, which was an improvement, but it was still negative 0.07. So we did miss in terms of analyst estimates. If you recall, in the earnings prep video that I did, where was it here? If we go over, I think it was a live stream, wasn't it? Yeah. So it was a live stream earnings prep, and I did a product review of the new Rift Boost Tropical Burst. And in that video, I brought up the investing.com forecast, which was 193.67 million. And then I brought up the Moomoo analyst forecast, which was based on 10 analysts, and they were forecasting 195, and it came in basically right in the middle of that. So that's why I like taking the consensus as well. So we were pretty much in line with analyst estimates in terms of revenue, even a slight beat, but the EPS did miss. And based on the fact that we had that news from Canopy, like I said, that was adding lots of headwinds to the sector, and then we had some weakness in the S&P 500 as well. But I think mostly it was just an overreaction, and then perhaps investors saying that Tilray could potentially dilute again, which is very possible. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And speaking of which, their financial liquidity position of 261 million, and 143 million of that is cash, and including restricted cash of 1.5 million and 116 million in marketable securities. Okay, so they have a pretty strong cash position. The only reason why they would dilute, I would say, anytime soon, call it, the next 3 to 6 months, would be for M&A activity. And they did mention that they may look at doing other strategic and accretive, M&A, so mergers and acquisitions, over the course of, the next, call it the next year or two, right? There's still a lot of consolidation that needs to happen in the space. They mentioned in the conference call as well, there's over 800 LPs. They have about a 12% market share, with number one market share position here in Canada. And he mentioned that a ton of LPs just have like a 0.5% market share. And there's over 800 LPs still currently licensed producers in Canada, which just isn't sustainable. So I expect a lot of creditor protection and bankruptcy filings to continue, but also more mergers and acquisitions and consolidation in this space as well. I would 100% agree. They also mentioned, in terms of their operating highlights, their financial position, so significantly reduced convertible debt by 127 million, a principal of outstanding notes, and an additional 18 million subsequent to the quarter end, November 30th, 2023, for a total debt reduction of 145 million. And then if we scroll down to their guidance here, fiscal year ending May 31st, 2024, the company is reiterating its adjusted EBITDA target of 68 million to 78 million, representing growth of 11% to 27% as compared to fiscal year 2023. In addition, the company continues to expect to generate positive adjusted free cash flow as well. So I'm not going to go through the entirety of this. They just go over some highlights, but like I said, they did miss in terms of analyst estimates with regards to EPS. You can see here, came in at negative 0.07, and then slight beat in terms of revenue. But overall, not a bad report. There's definitely, some things that are left to be desired, right? We want to continue to see their loss improve, although, it is improving, and we continue to beat analyst estimates, and we continue to see, up and to the right with regards to revenue. And I think it's only going to grow as we start to see more and more companies start to fall by the wayside, right? There's just companies that are not going to be able to keep up, right? They're going to lose market share. Also keep in mind that Ontario is doubling the store count from 75 to 150. So these retailers are now able to own 150 stores under their own umbrella, which is going to increase the amount of sales that drive these sales for licensed producers, right? Because these retailers have to buy it from the licensed producers in Canada. So that's only going to benefit Tilray, in my opinion. But let me know in the comments if you think this is an overreaction. Let me know what you took your main takeaway from the conference call. Let me know your main takeaway from the earnings report in as a whole. But as I mentioned, this earnings report, I'm not going to go over everything because they basically just reiterated in the conference call everything that they mentioned in the earnings report. It wasn't anything really that new. But if you want to go to the end of that video, I give my thoughts and opinions, and I kind of do a recap of I think I got mostly everything, but I did a recap of the conference call. And then it's pretty cool too, is you can go through the live chat and you can see how everybody was reacting and what questions they asked and how I responded to them. So I thought that was a pretty cool format, and may look to do that continuing. I may look to continue doing that in the future. So let me know if you'd like to see that continued, and if you enjoyed that format. But we'll take a look at the chart here. I did add some Tilray today. I couldn't resist these prices just over the last couple of days. If we take a look at the daily time frame here from the high and that double top there at 254 and bull trap, we're now down about 25% in 2 days. So if we take a look at the weekly time frame here, weekly consolidation underway, meaning we lost the low of the previous weekly candle, and we did have support at $2 psychological, and then we have this uptrend support line that we're testing here right now as well. But the next weekly support is at 175. So if we end up losing the low here at 192, next support is going to be 175 there on the weekly time frame. But as I mentioned, it's all about the monthly, right? It doesn't really matter what happens down to the day, the second, the minute, even on the weekly time frame, right? We've seen it all before on the weekly time frame. We've confirmed weekly uptrends. And the only thing that we haven't done yet since the run up to $67 and then the beginning of this brutal multi-year bear market is we haven't confirmed a monthly uptrend since then, right? We confirmed a monthly downtrend here with a lower high and lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And now we're working on a higher low and a higher high to get us back into a monthly uptrend. The last time we were in a monthly uptrend was in November of 2020. It's been over 3 years now, or for days, to put it into days context, it's now been 1,156 days since we were in a monthly uptrend on Tilray. Okay, so the fact that it's been that long, I'm not concerned about even the weekly time frame. Definitely not the daily. What I'm concerned about is the monthly time frame. And I hear a lot of people talking about technical analysis. If you're investing in MJ and you're here for the long term, technical analysis isn't really that beneficial to you, right? If you're going to invest, you look at a chart, and let's say you're looking at a sector like MJ or a name like Tilray. If you're going to invest, basically, when you look at a chart, you can look at a chart for like 5 minutes or less and know everything that you need to know with regards to investing. Is it at all-time highs? Are we weekly or daily overbought? Are we weekly or daily oversold? Are we at all-time lows? If we're at all-time lows and we're close to monthly oversold and weekly oversold, coming off weekly oversold here, all-time lows, you don't really need much else. You don't really need to know anything else, right? I mean, you pretty much have everything that you need to know. Or if you're looking at MJ and you're looking at a stock in the MJ space, if we're heavily overbought on the monthly time frame, we're at an all-time high, well, maybe that's not the best idea to go long, right? But if you're, a swing trader, like, in the Pow Group community, we have investors and we have traders and we have, day traders, swing traders, people from all different walks of life. So, when we look at technical analysis, it isn't so much for the people that are buying and holding, right? I'm buying and holding, but I also have MJ in a short-term account. So I have it in a long-term no touch, and I have it in a shorter-term account. I added Tilray today to my shorter-term account, not my long-term no touch. I'm adding it to an account where I'll trade it a little bit more, right? So if you don't have a long-term no touch account, I'm not advising it because I can't give financial advice, but I'm telling you to seriously take it as a recommendation because it helps you with FOMO. And as of right now, on the daily time frame, we're absolutely crushed, right? We're coming off daily overbought essentially, and we're almost heading to daily oversold, and we're currently hourly oversold, which should provide a nice bounce. And if you take a look at the hourly RSI at the moment, we're absolutely crushed. We're sitting at, we're still only at 22.8, which anything 30 and below is considered oversold on the hourly time frame. But check it out, we have no resistance on the hourly until 254. So we are dropping to another hourly lower here. But once this hourly bounce gets underway, this is going to be a doozy in my opinion. So what we'll want to see is a 5-minute uptrend confirm, and we need that higher low and higher high, and then we will want to see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross there on the 5-minute time frame, and we will want to see the hourly candle breaking the high of the previous hourly candle. If we can get in a 5-minute uptrend, see a 5-minute EMA 12 and 26 bull cross, and break the high of the previous hourly candle, hourly bounce will be underway, and we'll have very, very strong conviction in that hourly bounce, and that's a potential trade opportunity of about 7 to 11%. That's where technical analysis can come into play, right? But if you're looking at adding for the long term, well, again, anywhere around these prices are decent prices in my opinion, as we look for monthly higher lows and higher highs to give us that monthly uptrend. We need to confirm the monthly uptrend to be confident that this multi-year bear market is over and that we're potentially starting a new multi-year bull market. And then in terms of the weekly time frame, we are losing the 10-week moving average here. So I want to see us close above $1.99 here, that $2 psychological support, to remain bullish on the weekly time frame. And we did bump our heads right at the 50 weekly moving average again. And then on this daily consolidation, we just came down and we're testing the 50-day moving average. But we are gearing up for another golden cross here. And this brutal shakeout that happened after the HHS recommendation, I think, was just that final capitulation, that final shakeout before the massive breakout. And look where we came down and tested the 50-day moving average today at $1.94. So again, we'll see if that can prove as very strong support, and we can flip back into bullish territory with the 50-day and the 200-day moving average crossing and seeing a golden cross. But like I said, I think this is definitely an overreaction, and when in doubt, zoom out. If you look at the monthly time frame, we haven't even lost the low of the previous monthly candle. So we haven't even started monthly consolidation yet. We've actually been bouncing on the monthly time frame for the last 2 months in a row, where we're breaking the high of the previous candle. And like I said, it's all about support here at 161, and that's our higher low at the moment. So if we can hold that 161 support, come up here, break 340, we'll be in a monthly uptrend. But as I've been saying, we need monthly uptrends to confirm to be confident that this multi-year bear market is over. And I'm very confident that it's going to happen this time around. I think this time is different. I think we're going to get rescheduling. The DEA confirmed they're reviewing the whole process and the classification of MJ. And I do think that we're going to see recreational MJ on the ballot for Florida in 2024 as well, which we should see and expect a ruling by April 1st. I've done a video on that as well. So rescheduling potentially in April as well, all around that 420 area, and then potential for Florida on the ballot. And then don't forget, Germany could come online really any month now as well. So we have all the catalysts that we need. In my opinion, this is just an overreaction. I am not at all worried, and like I said, I took advantage of this dip. Wasn't planning on adding, but these are prices that I couldn't resist, and like I said, a great trade opportunity that's presenting itself with a lack of hourly resistance and hourly oversold bounce potentially looking to get underway. All right, going to end it there. It's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. If you found this video helpful, smash the like, share it with your network. I would appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below if you found it helpful. What was your biggest takeaway from the earnings and the conference call? And let me know if you think this is an overreaction. All right. Thanks for joining us again on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll see you again on the next video.